Hello and welcome to labeling the fretboard using the paper and pencil system. So today we're going to work on one scale on all 6 strings. So the scale, the A blues scale. Okay, so we got our fretboard here laid out. So the scale itself is going to be based on the A minor scale. So the A minor scale is basically the first 7 letters of the alphabet. The second note, and we take out the 6th note. So that's going to be taken out, but before we take out the notes, we're going to go through the distance between each of the notes. So if we start by talking about distances between notes, A to B, we have a whole step. On guitar, whole steps are open strings to 2nd fret, or once you're on the fretboard, whole steps are consecutive frets. Okay, so A to B is a whole step. B to C is a half step. C to D, whole step. D to E, whole step. E to F, half step. F to G, whole step. And G to A, another whole step. So that's your minor scale formula. Whole, half, whole, half, whole. We're going to get to the minor pentatonic scale. What we're going to do now is we're going to take out certain notes from the scale. So we're going to keep the A, taking out the B, I'm going to keep the C, and now this is the start of constructing our blues scale. So, and also the minor pentatonic scale. So we have our D, we're keeping that. E, we're keeping that. We're getting rid of F, so that's going to come out, and we got our G and our A. Okay, so we have the basis of our A minor pentatonic scale. So the distance between the notes here is going to be a whole plus a half, which is a step and a half, right? So we have 1.5 steps between A and C because we got rid of the B, so that created a whole plus a half. That's a step and a half. Okay, C and D, we keep that. So we got our whole step there. D to E, we keep that. So we got our whole step there. You're going to see a change coming up for that as well. So now we have a half step plus a whole step. So that still equates to a step and a half. And G to A, whole step just like on top. So right here is your minor pentatonic scale formula, right? 1.5, half, 1.5, whole, 1.5, whole. Okay, that's the formula for any minor pentatonic scale. So when you plug in your letters, that's the formula you use to create minor pentatonic scales. Or just think of taking out the 2nd note and the 6th note of the minor scale. You'll get a minor pentatonic. Now with blues scale, we add something in between called a flat 5. So we have an E natural here, so we're going to put an E flat in between the D and the E. So that creates the blue tone. So that right there, D to E flat, is going to be a half step. Then E flat to E, another half step. And that gives you your blues scale. So you get a 6-note scale. So you had 5 notes before with the A, C, D, E, G, A. 6-note scale with A, C, D, E flat, E natural. The E goes back to natural. And we bring it back up to G and the A, which we keep. So now we need to plot out where those notes are on the fretboard. So let's go right to the A string. We're going to plot out where everything is. Okay. So half steps are open strings to 1st fret on any string. Whole steps are every other fret or open string to 2nd fret once you're on the fretboard. Every other fret will be a whole step. So 1.5 steps. We have a half step here, another half step there. That's going to be a whole step, and we need another half step to get to the step and a half. So we have A to B could also be considered the whole step, open string to 2nd fret. Then the half step would be your location of your first note, C. So we covered the first 2 notes. On to the next, C to D. So between C and D is the whole step, right? So we want to keep every other fret as our whole steps. Now we need a half step between D and E flat, and here it is. Another half step goes to the E natural. So just write E on the fretboard. And the reason why I'm doing this in pencil is so you can recreate and you can copy the idea of writing things out. It really makes a huge difference in terms of understanding how that works. Okay, now E to G, step and a half. So we have a step right here, which is the whole step, right? We consider that a step. Step and whole step are synonymous. Then a half step. And we get another whole step at the end, G, 10th fret, A, 12th fret. The A string is done. We'll go to the E strings. We have 2 E strings on the guitar. We could take the same scale that we're working with, start from E. We don't have the E flat, so we're going to go from E, right? So we go from E to G. That's going to be your step and a half. So open string to 2nd fret is a step or a whole step. Half step is the next fret. Now from G to A is a whole step. We skip over. We get the A. A to B B's not there anymore. So now we need another step and a half, right? So we have a whole step, then a half step right there. So we got 7th fret from 5th fret. That's a whole step, half step, 7th fret to 8th fret. There's your C right there. Moving on up, so we got C going to D, whole step. There's your D. Now we can actually include the E flats and the E natural. So half step to E flat, and 12th fret is E. Now we have the E string labeled. We can go right up to the other E string, just simply copy what's on the low E. Here's your high E. Bottom string, thick string, right? Thin string, top string. This isn't the bottom string. A lot of people get this string wrong. The thinnest string on your guitar is actually the top string because it's the highest part of the range of your guitar. So the thinnest string is your top string, not your bottom string. So 3 strings out of 6 we got labeled, all right? Moving on to the D string. All right, D string, we have from D to E flat to E. So open string to 1st fret gives you the E flat. Again, open string to any 1st fret on any guitar string gives you a half step. Another half step to E natural right there. So we're good with that. Moving on to G. So E natural to G is a step and a half. So we go E, every other fret is a whole step or a step, and then half step after that. And there it is. There's your G right there. Okay, now moving G to A, whole step. Every other fret is a whole step. A, moving to C, step and a half. So we have skipping over 7th fret to the 9th fret, or moving from 7th fret to 9th fret, skipping over the 8th fret is a whole step. Another half step, bam, right there. And we got D. D is in there. That completes the collection. G to A, whole step, open string to 2nd fret. Step and a half, A to C. We have a whole step, 2nd fret to 4th fret, half step, 5th fret. C to D, another whole step, every other fret. D to E flat to E, there it is. And E. And then what we got next? E, step and a half. So whole step, and then the half step right there. Last string. There's no B in this scale, so we have to go to the C note. If we look up on top here, we see there's a half step between B and C. B to C is a half step, so we have our C right there. Now we just simply start the scale from C. C to D, whole step, every other fret. D to E flat to E, right there. You can see on the other strings, there's a certain pattern that has developed between distances, D, E flat E, D, E flat E, D, E flat E, and etc. So now we're moving from E to G. Whole step and then a half step. So E 5th fret to 7th fret is the whole step, half step right there. There's your G. G to A, whole step. You got it. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you learned a new approach to the A blues scale. So on that note, I will conclude this video. If you like this video, please feel free to like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one. Take care.